hit the go live button. So you know what? That's the beauty of live TV. Just gonna get it set up so everybody can see. All right. Well, hello. Welcome to Mother Rabbit's Kitchen. We are gonna cook Mama's hidden veggie meat sauce tonight. So I hope you've got all your ingredients. We are gonna get started. The first thing I'm gonna do, okay, so I have to admit something. Normally when I cook this dish, I don't use any kind of recipe or instructions. I just kind of go for it. It's my own recipe. But confession, I actually wrote down some instructions for me and I've pasted it on my backsplash right here because I'm afraid that I'm gonna get distracted by being live and then forget something. So if you see me look like that, it's because I'm trying to gather my thoughts about this. So the first thing we're gonna do is get our pot or pan on high heat so we can brown our meat. So I'm using a Dutch oven here. This is gonna, because we're using 2 pounds of meat, I actually got almost 3 pounds of meat because we are using so much meat and so many veggies. You either need a really large pan with high sides or a Dutch oven, something like that. All right, I'm gonna go get the meat. I really like to get my pans pretty hot because when you sear your meat, you want to get a good sear, a good sizzle, a good browning on the meat. Brown meat is flavor, gray meat is not. I'm gonna get some olive oil in the pot. Really doesn't need a lot because this is just regular ground chuck. It's got a pretty good amount of fat in it, so it doesn't need a whole lot of help in the oil department. And then of course you really want to season your meat well. I don't use a whole lot of ground pepper, fresh ground pepper. I do use it on specific things, but I'm not a huge add pepper to everything that I season. I am just big on the salt. So if you want to at any point add fresh ground pepper to whatever we're doing or whatever you're doing, then go for it. But I'm gonna sprinkle kosher salt all over this meat, really liberally, because you want the salt to really crust onto the meat and flavor it. And then I'm gonna kind of grab it in 2 handfuls. To check the temperature, just kind of gently put your hand over the pot, not touching because that would hurt. But I want to make sure that my oil is nice and hot. Yeah, it's starting to get a little smoke on it. So you don't want it smoking, but you want to hear this. Ready? That's a beautiful sound. And I'm going to kind of break this up because I don't want to layer. I want to really get a sear on all of my meat. Now it's getting really loud in here, but that's a good thing. That means our meat is searing, developing lots of flavor. I'm gonna season the other side now. Again, very liberal with the kosher salt. I gotta wash my hands real quick. While that meat is searing, I'm going to get my quinoa in this pot. I got a package of quinoa that is 2 cups dry. So we're gonna need 4 cups of water. If you're using pasta instead of quinoa, then just go ahead and start boiling up a big pot of water for your pasta. The 2 things I love about quinoa is it's really healthy, and so when I'm in the mood for something really hearty and healthy, that's good. The second thing is you don't have to drain it. It's just in the pot, it doesn't move. When you're ready, you just scoop it out. It's perfect. I'm gonna start to flip over my meat. I'm getting a nice brown on the one side. Don't mess with your meat too much. Don't stir it around. Don't keep flipping it. You want each side and layer of the meat to sear and develop that really good flavor. Hi, bud. Oh, why does he look so sad? He has the weirdest face on right now. Love you, son. All right, so while that's going, again, I'm not gonna mess with my meat. I'm gonna fill up 4 cups of water for my quinoa. There's 2. What are the other kids doing, do you know? So they might all be in there.
Milkies.
What?
Milkies.
Milkies?
Yes.
Where's your Milkies?
I know.
Oh, I think it's in the fridge. Here. All right, here's my other 2 cups, so that's 4 cups right there. You season up your quinoa just a little bit. There's so much flavor in this meat sauce that the quinoa is really just kind of like a blank canvas. So I'm going to turn that on high, and you're probably going to get to witness what happens every single time I do quinoa or rice. I forget about it, and it starts overflowing. I'm turning it on high so it can come to a full boil. Once it comes to a boil, we will reduce it down to a simmer. But, I mean, I might be able to remember just because you guys are watching me, but we'll see. On my last live video, I wasn't watching the chicken stock and it started boiling over and spilling everywhere all over the stove. And yeah, I kept it and put it on my channel. You'll probably notice that you have no room in your pot for all of these veggies we're gonna add. So once this meat cooks, we're gonna remove it and make room to start searing and simmering our veggies together. Let me make sure we're on track. You got my quinoa going? Yeah, so while this is just continuing to cook, I still have it on high. You could bring it down if you feel like this is too high for what pot you're using and what's going on with you. But I'm just gonna keep it on high because I like that high heat. So the next thing I'm gonna do is, I'll go ahead and peel my carrots right now. This recipe is really forgiving in terms of like proportion. So if you only want to put 1 or 2 carrots in, that's fine. I'm just gonna put, I think I have 8 carrots here. If you are vegetarian or you just want to go meatless for this, you can just make it a veggie sauce. You can skip the meat part and just like double the veggies. You could even throw in some different veggies if you wanted to throw in some red peppers or something like that. That'd be delicious. You can really play around with whatever you want to put in this dish. I'm using this as kind of like my garbage bowl, even though I have one right there. I don't know why I'm not just using that. But and then I'm just going to dump them out and then use this to put my meat in while we're doing the veggies. And I started my quinoa because I'm kind of hoping that I actually have to go to a Bible study tonight and have to leave in like an hour. So I really want to get dinner on the table in like a half hour, sit and eat with my family, and then shoot off to Bible study. So when I told everybody that the video would be live at 5, I thought my Bible study started at 7. So I was like, yeah, I should have just enough time. And then I was like, oh my gosh, it starts at 6:30. So I'm gonna have to do this quick. Just making sure nothing's burning. All right, my carrots are peeled. Just gonna dump this in here. I don't know why I didn't just use that. Probably because it's live, and so I'm gonna make extra mistakes. You'll notice there isn't a whole lot of chaos in my kitchen right now. That's because my mom is in town, so she is occupying most of the children, and I think Andrew is occupying Camden. So it's kind of like, it's just me in the kitchen. Nobody's complaining or asking for a snack or trying to help and driving me nuts. Okay. I'm just gonna go with it. My meat is almost ready to come out. I'm just going to start chopping up some carrots. You want to chop them up as finely as possible, because carrots do take a long time to cook, so the smaller you dice them, the less time they will need. Also, carrots take a lot longer to cook than zucchini and onions. That's why we're going to put them in first. And the very last thing to go in, well, aside from the olives and stuff, the very last vegetable to go in will be the garlic, because garlic has a tendency to burn when you're cooking it with other things. All right, I'm gonna turn this way down. Just scraping off those yummy seared bits. I've never tried this, but you could, after you take this out, you could throw in some red wine or some white wine, something yummy. I've done this where I add cream at the end, but then I realized that the cream like really wasn't necessary. The sauce is so rich and delicious. All right, so I'm gonna start taking out this meat. We're gonna add this back in once our veggies cook down. Okay, I can see my quinoa starting to boil. I would call that a full boil, so I am actually gonna turn that down, because if I don't do it right now, it's just gonna immediately start boiling over. So I got it all the way on low now. I'm just gonna keep an eye on it. Now I'm gonna set the timer for 15 minutes, because it has to simmer for 15 minutes. Whoops, yep. All right, calm down, everybody. All right, see? Whoa. Getting splashed and burned here. Where are my pot holders that Skylar made for me? Just gonna try to scrape as much of this meat. Ow, I just burned myself in the neck. Scrape as much of this meat off as I can. You know what I am gonna do? I'm gonna add like the tiniest bit of brandy. I've never done that in this dish before, but there's so many like bits on the bottom that I'm just gonna go ahead and like deglaze it a little bit. Adding a little bit of alcohol helps release anything that has like gotten a little bit too stuck on in your pot. I'm also going to just put a paper towel in there and remove some of that excess fat. So something that you can do is just take your tongs and just kind of sop up that extra grease. Because this dish is so good without all that extra fat. We don't need it. I'm just mopping it up here. Mopping it up. Okay. So that can go. I'm just going to put that in my garbage bowl. And that's good. I'm just going to deglaze a little bit. Okay, this is off script. I usually use this for French onion soup, but this is going to be just a really good way to get those extra brown bits off. I'm going to put it on low. Let that cook down a little bit. move things around. And put my meat to the side. And I'm gonna start putting in my carrots. Where's my knife? Here we go. Just turning it off because I don't want it to. Oh. Let me just put that. Where did I put my brandy? Did I put it back on? Oh, I did. I'm just gonna start chopping up my carrots and throwing them in. The brandy actually smells really good, and it's gonna kind of doctor up the sweetness factor. You can cut your veggies like into really tiny pieces if you are really trying to go incognito for your kids. If they will not eat it, if they see a vegetable, then you're gonna wanna chop these up like extra small. And then you can even kind of cook the sauce down for maybe like an hour just to make sure that the carrots have completely gone soft and unrecognizable. So, sorry, this is live, so you're just gonna have to stick with me. I can't fast forward this part. Hopefully you're doing it too. Now I feel like I don't have enough oil in here right after I took all of that out. All right. This is one of my favorite dishes to make for people when they are in need. So if somebody just had a baby or somebody has a family member in the hospital, something like that, this is just such a great comfort food. It's like basically, it's like that cooking with love type of food that you can just bring over. It's no fuss, but it tastes so good. It's very different than your regular meat sauces because it has all those veggies. So in that way, it is especially for a mom who just had a baby. I've done this for so many of my friends and family members who have babies because I'm getting them their veggies, because we all know that right after you have a baby, you're not really able to cook. So, you know, instead of doing takeout and stuff, it usually isn't the healthiest option. This is such a great dish to give to people who really need their nutrition. All right, we got more than half of our carrots in there. We're just gonna keep going. Keep chopping up. Stick with me, guys. This makes a huge pot of sauce. You know me, I love to double and triple everything. So this is gonna last us probably 2 days plus. Most likely it's going to give us like a freezer meal also. Or maybe we'll just have it 3 days in a row. That does happen sometimes in my house because when I make something, first of all, it's really good, so we want to keep eating it. Second of all, I probably haven't made it in months and months because I'm always doing something different and new. And third of all, it's cheaper, easier, less work. That was like a fourth of all and fifth of all too. We are so close to being done with our carrots. I'd love to know if you have another recipe that you use for meat sauce, or if you just have a tip or a trick that you want to share with us. Go ahead and tell me. Okay, finally, all of our carrots. The zucchini cooked down so quickly, so I'm not too worried about getting those in right away. You see how good that looks? I wish you could smell this. It is so good. My quinoa is just gently cooking away. I'm gonna get my onion in next. Nice big red onion. And I usually cut my onion pretty chunky for this because I kind of treat it as if it were like a carrot or a zucchini. It's like, this is a really chunky, hearty sauce. But if you want to cut it smaller, somebody's screaming for me upstairs. But Andrew is up there, so unless he starts screaming for me, I'm going to ignore it. That's half. I just keep my onion kind of like intact the whole time. It's so much easier to get it in. I'll go around. Can you see this? It looks really good. I'll let that continue to cook. Add a little more oil to make everybody soft and happy in there. A little salt. I got my big pile of meat down there. That's like, hey, invite me back to the party. All in good time, my friend. All in good time. I have already washed my zucchini, by the way. And then I peeled my carrots, so I didn't wash them. These are so easy to slice up. You can just do big chunks. They cook down, so they're like unrecognizable once they go in the sauce. Look how pretty that dish is. Do you see all those beautiful colors? And then everything's basically going to turn red when we add the sauce. Man, it smells good. So I wonder, I use the brandy just because I saw things were like really sticking, but I wonder if I'm going to want to use that every time now. We'll have to see. Usually when I do something out of necessity or trying to fix something, it becomes like a staple for the recipe from there on. Oh, I still have one more zucchini. Pardon me, I almost forgot about you. See how easy that slices? And then we are in summer right now, which means everyone who grows zucchini has extra zucchini. I've never grown zucchini. I don't think. I had a garden one time. It was not a success. I grew like a pepper and a tomato. But find a friend who has a zucchini plant because they will be dying to give zucchini away. They will have more zucchini than they will know what to do with. So in exchange for some zucchini, you can share with them this recipe and it'll be like a fair trade. Or you can cook this recipe for them and be like, I made this with your zucchini. You're welcome. That was you saying you're welcome to your friend, not me saying you're welcome like, yeah, sorry. That was very Maui of me. All right, we're just letting this cook down. What else? I'm gonna start getting my garlic started because this is gonna need a few minutes. Here, I'm gonna show you really close up what this looks like. Look how pretty. Isn't that beautiful? So like I said, if you don't want to put meat in this, you don't have to. Just skip the meat part and do veggies. Do a veggie sauce. And like the meat, you don't want to mess with it too much. Give it a little stir every few minutes to make sure nothing's burning or anything like that. I have it on medium heat right now. It's just getting really happy in there. So the next things I'm going to add are garlic and, oh, my oregano. I forgot to get my oregano. My garlic, my oregano, and my olives. Olives don't need to cook at all, so you just chop them up small and add them kind of at the end. So let me go get my oregano. My hands are sticky, so hold on a second. So I'm going to go ahead and tap in a little oregano. This is probably about a teaspoon. When it comes to dried herbs, a little goes a long way, and oregano is really strong, so do not overdo it. If you don't have dried oregano, just leave it out, it's fine. If you have dried Italian seasoning or dried basil, even dried rosemary would be really pretty in this. Or if you have fresh herbs, grab some of your fresh oregano or your fresh basil, your fresh rosemary, and just chop it up and throw it in. I also have some fresh basil from my herb garden that I'm gonna throw in at the end, which is the first time I'm doing this because this is the first time I'm making this dish since I started my herb garden. And I would never, oh, it smells so good. I would never put this in before because it's so good without it. And why spend an extra $2 at the grocery store when you don't really need to? But since this is free and it's fresh basil, we're gonna use it. All right, so while that's cooking, I only have 3 more minutes on my quinoa. Then let's get our garlic going. So depending on the size of your garlic, oh, of course, I just got a head of garlic that's like coming with, look at the size of these cloves. That is a joke. It's like literally the size of my pinky nail. So it's just so much more work than I want to put into this right now. So the recipe says 6 garlic cloves, but obviously we're going to use more like 12 or more because these are so tiny. When you're picking out garlic from the store, you want to feel the weight of the garlic because you can't really see inside the paper to see if it's good garlic. The weight of the garlic will tell you if it is fresh and juicy. All right, so some of these look like they're bigger, but they're not. I know when I smash them, they're gonna smash into like little cloves. Yep, that's what they did. This is what makes dinner take so much longer than it should. Like, come on, who has time for this? Certainly not Mother Rabbit. Maybe only when my mom's in town. Well, that'll give us time for our veggies to cook down while I peel 96 cloves of garlic. 96,000? Name that movie or play. $96,000? Holla. Oh, sorry, did you not want me to sing musical theater songs on my channel? Well, too bad. Why? And then garlic gets sticky, so then like your fingers stick to the paper and the paper sticks to your fingers and then you can't even like get a clove of garlic. And then I'm smashing them, but they're so small that they're not even like smashing. Okay, so that's my quinoa. So I'm gonna take it off the heat and then just gonna fluff it a little bit. Oh, that quinoa is beautiful. See how easy quinoa is? Just gonna take it off, let it sit. It will stay hot forever, like for an hour or more. So you don't have to worry like, oh no, the quinoa's done, but nothing else is done. Just get that quinoa going, let it sit, it will stay perfect. Even if the quinoa comes to room temperature eventually, your sauce is gonna be so piping hot when you scoop it out, the whole dish is just gonna be perfect. Speaking of which, did I stir my veggies or no? Did I? See, if you guys are gonna watch with me, you have to keep track of what I'm doing. Because sometimes I forget. And I don't want it to burn. And since this garlic is taking literally forever to peel, it's like I'm almost gonna be like, just forget it. I'm just gonna put all the paper in the dish too. And we'll just have to chew through it. Do you see how ridiculous this is? All right, so close. I tried so hard to find garlic that had big cloves in the store, and like none of them did. I feel like I used to be able to, you know, there used to be like the bigger cloves of garlic. You know what? I'm just gonna call that enough because I'm done. I'm just done coddling my garlic. My hands are sticky. I just want to be done. I'm gonna quick rinse my hands and then stir my veggies. I'm actually gonna go ahead and pour my meat back in. Let that start cooking together and get all You know, let them get to know each other. Meet the veggies. Veggies, meet the meat. They're gonna fall in love. Oh, do you see this? This is love. Love of food. That is my love language, baby. Italian food is my love language, even though I'm not Italian, not even a bit. Oh, rogue carrot there. All right, let those get nice and cozy. Once I put my garlic in, I can't cook it very much longer because I don't, well, without the sauce. Then I'm gonna put the sauce in, let that cook. That'll be good. How are we doing on time? It's 5:30. I want to get dinner on the table by 5:45. Do you think I can do it? Just gonna start going through this garlic, this paper. I also want to know, do you use fresh garlic or do you get those like pre-peeled or even pre-cut garlic jars from the store? I think I may have bought one like once in my life, like many, many years ago. But I'm all about chopping that fresh garlic, as annoying as it is sometimes. You don't have to get too crazy with how fine you do it. Once you put in the tomato sauce, everything's gonna get along so well. You're not gonna be biting into any raw clove of garlic. We've done all of that work peeling the garlic. Let's not break our backs trying to chop it too. So there's that. Got it all the way down on low now. Now that garlic has joined the party, it is just gonna burst with flavor. Speaking of flavor, this is the secret flavor blasting ingredient in this dish, Kalamata olives. Oh. They stay good in your fridge forever, so just always keep them in your fridge. And this recipe, I literally have like a specific number of olives that I use. They're so salty and briny. You can't tell that there are olives in this. It's just practically 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and that'll be plenty. If you are against using olives, go ahead and leave them out. I don't care. I mean, it's your loss. Look at these beautiful, they're healthy, they're bursting with flavor and saltiness, that umami kind of flavor profile. And you just want to chop them up really small. If you love olives, I mean, you can use different olives. If you want to use green olives, that's fine. Just don't use like black sliced olives from a can, just please. And if you do, don't tell me. I will be very disappointed, because that would be gross. You can use green olives if you want. And I chop them up fine, because again, I like to kind of keep their identity hidden and just let them show off their skills unidentified. But if you really love olives, and so does your family, you can just slice them or give them a rough chop and put them in. Because there's nothing wrong with biting into a nice big piece of olive. I mean, I could just eat these plain. Yes, I could. But I'm gonna go really, really fine with these. Look at that. I mean, it's not the prettiest thing, but I think it's gorgeous. But they don't need to cook, so you don't wanna like make these have too much contact with direct heat. You'll also notice that I put the garlic in while there was so much stuff in. So that's also not getting a ton of contact with the direct heat of the pot, because I just really don't want my garlic to overcook. And because there's so much in this, it's not gonna hurt to have a little like pop of that semi-raw garlic flavor. And when it cooks down in the sauce, it's not gonna be raw. It's just gonna be really flavorful. Okay, so I'm gonna show you real quick what this looks like before I put my sauce in. you hear it, it's singing to me. So pretty. And now it's gonna get even prettier. It's gonna look like Christmas in here with that sauce. Okay, if you are a tomato sauce or marinara sauce snob, then avert your eyes. This is not a fancy sauce. However, number one, it was BOGO today. Number two, I've used it in this dish so many times and it's delicious. So it's the vineyard marinara and it's so good. Get all of it out there. Mom, are you in that room? Oh, I wasn't sure if she was staying in that room to try to like not interrupt the video. I was gonna say you don't have to stay in there. Oh, look at that. It smells so good in here. Does it smell good in your kitchen? Are you doing this with me right now? I mean, I hope you are. This is good, hearty, comfort food. And you know what? Even though this type of dish, usually you would think of with more like fall flavors or winter, I don't care that it's summer. It's, you know, we are in the era of air conditioning, so just make those stews and sauces and even your soups and enjoy them year round. Oh my gosh. Oh, it's so pretty. I'm gonna bring it up to a simmer so that everything can get perfect together. I'm also just gonna go ahead and taste it even though the sauce is not hot yet. I wanna check for seasoning. Something that I do sometimes add is a little bit of sugar just to really marry all those flavors together. It makes a big difference. Do you hear the thud action in my... Right. So I've got a little spoonful. I've got some meat on there and some zucchini and carrot. Oh, it's hot. Oh, even just so sweet. It's so good, but it needs salt. Make sure you are tasting your food. Dang, this is so good. I actually don't think it needs any sugar. I might still put some in, but yeah, I used to add heavy cream at the end just to get like that extra zhuzh of like creaminess and silkiness and just up that flavor. But then I'm like, you know what? I think I made it one time for somebody who could not have dairy. Yeah, she had a baby, couldn't have dairy. So I made a dairy-free version. And I was like, oh man, it's not gonna come out as good because it's missing that really creamy part of the heavy cream. And then I made it and I tasted it and I was like, dang, you don't need heavy cream in this. So skip that extra fat, right? I mean, let's add it when we need it and keep it out when we don't. As this cooks, I'm just gonna stir it and then taste it. I just keep seasoning, tasting, especially if you're making it for somebody else. People get really funny about like not adding salt to their own dish because they think it's rude, which it's not. If you want it to be saltier, add some salt and people don't get offended. I always tell people, I'm like, if you need to put salt on my food, I'm not offended. I know my food's delicious, but if you need like an extra zhuzh of, my husband salts like a crazy person. My mother salts like a crazy person. My mother-in-law also salts like a crazy person. I salt like a semi-crazy person. The vegetables are perfect. They're soft and tender, but they're not mushy. Guys, this is like ready. It's 5:40. We've been cooking for 40 minutes. Our quinoa's done. The last thing we're gonna do, when I plate this up, I'm gonna shave. And by shave, I mean with a vegetable peeler, the same one that I use for my carrots. I'll just I'll just wipe it off. I'm just gonna shave some Parmigiano Reggiano. Sorry for all the Italians, I just butchered that. Parmigiano Reggiano, I'm gonna shave some on, and it's just gonna create this like blanket of salty, nutty Parmigiano cheese. It's so good and like essential. Especially if you're putting this over quinoa, like balance out that health factor with all that cheese. Like, come on, we still need to live. Now, I'm gonna decide if I wanna add just a tiny bit of sugar. You know what else you could add? Honey. All right, I'm just gonna keep tasting because this is so delicious. I'm gonna get an onion on there. Oh, give me that zucchini. Yes. So, like I said before, I left my vegetables kind of like a rough chop because I was doing it quick, and my kids are so used to this dish that they don't really care that there are vegetables in it. But when I first started making this, I was like dicing really, really small, and then you can always let it cook a little bit longer to cook this down. Sorry. I'm sorry for all my yummy noises. It's so good. Tiny bit more salt. And then just the tiniest sprinkle of sugar. Just to high five all of the natural sweetness in the carrots and the tomato sauce. And even the meat, the natural sugars in the meat, it's just a little high five. You're not going to blow your diet by adding a teaspoon of sugar to a huge pot of sauce. So everybody just shut up about it. Just kidding. Don't hate me. Okay, I hear screaming upstairs, and I think that means dinner's ready. All right, so I'm gonna continue to let this just cook as I'm getting ready to serve everything, but dude, this is so... I hear knocking. I'm gonna put my olives away. Bring that down to low. My quinoa's been sitting on the back of the stove. It is still piping hot. And at no point did I have to get my pasta off the stove, drain it in the sink, bring it back, keep it from sticking. Quinoa is so easy and so delicious. When you pair it with something delicious by itself, it's like super boring. I'm just cleaning up a little bit while I get ready. Look at this awesome garbage bowl. Now that means it's a job well done, and overflowing garbage bowl is a good sign. If you didn't get to cook this live with me and you're watching this when it's not live, I will put the recipe down below so you too can make Mama's hidden veggie meat sauce. Do you want to see what it looks like up close? I bet you do. Look at that. Isn't that so beautiful? All right, so while everybody's still kind of occupied, I'm going to go ahead and plate one little or big bowl of it. What I like to use are these big shallow bowls for meat sauce. If you use a plate, it just kind of goes everywhere. So I'm gonna get the quinoa. Still sizzling away, so good. Oh, this quinoa is just like little tiny pillows. Some quinoa on the bottom. Dinner's ready. $5:45, you guys. I called it. 45-minute meal. And once you get good at it and you're not doing a live video, it'll go so much quicker. So I always make like a little hole in the bottom of my pasta or quinoa, what they would call like a nest. And then I'm just gonna grab my ladle here. I'm gonna get a big, look at that, yes! A big scoop of this sauce. And by a big scoop, I mean 2 big scoops. Because come on, how can you not just go crazy? Look at that. We're gonna put the Parmesan cheese on right now. Oh, it's in the fridge. Oh, I got my basil. I already put my cutting board away, so you can just tear up your basil. Actually, I'll put the Parmesan cheese on first, and then we all tear up some basil on top. You could put the basil right in the sauce, that'd be fine. I probably will once this is all done. And then, just like you peel vegetables, just shave it over the top of your sauce. If you don't keep Parmigiano Reggiano in your house, you're gonna wanna highly consider it. It might look expensive when you see the price at the grocery store, but a little goes a long way. It stays good for weeks in your refrigerator. Once you open it, well, it stays good for, like, if you look at the expiration date, it stays good for like a year almost before you open it. Once you open it, it stays good for probably weeks to maybe even a month or two. If it starts going bad, you'll see tiny little signs of mold. Once that happens, you want to toss it. But if that happens, that just means you're not using it enough, because you should be putting this on everything. Like, I use so much Parmesan cheese that you can't even see what the dish is underneath. It's like, is this meatballs? Is it, you know, fettuccine Alfredo? It's like you can't even tell what this is because there's so much Parmigiano Reggiano on it. All right, then I'm gonna take some fresh basil from my herb garden and just tear it up gently. Put it on top. This is optional. You don't have, oh man, I hear a lot of screaming upstairs. I hope they're happy screams. But there are also lots of adults up there. I'm gonna turn this off because this is ready. Do you want me to taste it for you? I'll taste it for you. I will do that for you because that's how much I love you. So, look at this. Are you ready to taste it? It's hot. You get a little quinoa. Make sure you get lots of that Parmigiano Reggiano on there. I can't wait. So pretty. Guys. Maybe I won't tell the family that it's dinner time. They didn't hear me the first time, so maybe you and I will just like eat this together. Are you eating yours right now? Are you loving it? It's so good. So comforting. I can't stop. I dance a lot when I eat. That's how I burn the calories. Just kidding. All right, I think we're done here. Okay, gotta finish chewing. Live video, no editing out my chewing. This was really fun. Thank you for hanging out with me. Thank you for cooking with me. I hope yours came out as good as mine did. We will do this again really soon. Enjoy, guys. Thanks for hanging out in Mother Rabbit's kitchen. And don't forget to subscribe. Bye.